Hi, this is Cindy from Boise Creative Living. It's time for another garden tour. I just have done one this year, and there's a lot more to show you. It's been growing like crazy, and I'm almost done with all my planting. I have still one bed I'm going to make, a little bit of a raised bed to plant some squash in so that I have winter squash. So I'll take you for a walk around, and I think Lily will probably join us too. I've had a much earlier start getting things in this year. It's just been a whole different year this year, right? Last year, my husband had died in March, so planting, everything was delayed. But once I did get gardening, it was great therapy. It was wonderful. It got me through some hard times, so I highly recommend that. If you're going through bad times, find something. If you like to garden, go dig in the dirt. Helps. So the garden this year is a bit different. I just found a picture online showing a downpour 1 year ago, and I showed the garden with all the flooding in it. There wasn't a lot of flooding, not like most people are getting, but we're still waiting for those monsoons this year. So meanwhile, I water every day. I could set up irrigation, but I really enjoy being out here just with the hose and watering stuff. Look at everything blooming. Russian sage, hollyhocks, larkspur, alyssum. There's even some borage blooming over there, which are good to eat. Those are yummy. The blossoms are great. Last year for some flowers. So I've got hollyhocks along the fence. But there'll be some tomatoes taken over here. I've got a few. I've started them all from seed this year, and they're doing pretty good. Now in this one, I'm ready for climbers. Those are Mexican sour cucumbers, those little baby things. But there's some Swiss chard in there too. I have to harvest that soon. I did plant a lot of things for fall, early spring planting. Well, I did do some fall. I had some kale and spinach planted last fall. That gave me an early harvest this year. And then I planted kale really early, so I picked a lot of kale already. There's red lettuce over there. And a sweet pea. That came back. That'll be perennial. It smells so good. And my spinach in there is just about done. I've got some radishes in there, and I'm letting some go to seed. I think the radishes grew that I planted really early, but they look great on above the soil line, but below they didn't really make a radish, so we'll try again. I've got them replanted. Sweet peas. I am already picking those every day now. It's a nice snack. Marigolds to plant. Rosemary to plant. Some pathway bark that I put in the garden. It's really helped the soil in here. It helps hold in the moisture, but then the following year, I don't dig up my whole garden bed again. I just dig up where I'm planting stuff. And that bark makes it nice and loose. Some tomatoes down here. And I already have a baby tomato. This is a plum type of tomato called San Marzano. And it's a bush type. So it ought to fill these baskets up. It'll give me a good bunch of tomatoes to can. I actually have some artichokes here. There's one little one there. And one here. It's kind of getting covered up by borage, but I'll get rid of the borage. So that next year I might have artichokes. Those will keep coming up. There's some little gold nugget tomatoes there. Those should be climbing up this ladder in no time. And these are Paul Robeson, I think are yellow tomato. I'll have to check on that. Don't trust anything I say. The borage flowers over there. Those are yummy. If you get them before the insects get the honey, they're really sweet. The larkspur is beautiful. Bee balm yet to grow, yet to bloom. And actually, I read that it's edible, and I tasted it. It's like really, really, really strong hot oregano. And you can use it like a seasoning. Aren't those just gorgeous? A little more peas scattered. My garden's not real organized, but I like it that way. These are edible chrysanthemum. I haven't tried the flower yet. I eat some of the leaves in salads. There's zucchini back there, hidden behind the cilantro that's going to seed. And the cilantro kind of disguise the smell of the squash type plants. The smell of the squash attracts the squash bugs. So I'm just going to let that cilantro be. Pumpkins. I had grown them in the house, but there's a few that survived. Oh, 2 that survived. The ones I planted from seed did much better. Oh boy. We have birdhouse gourds popping through. I tried to start those in the house twice, and they didn't do a darn thing. They never sprouted. Sunflower along the fence, some tomatillo that reseeded themselves all over the place. Anywhere I used my compost, they grew. I pulled a lot out. There's some, these are little potato cucumbers. I have jelly melon cucumbers, and I have sugar baby watermelons. And some magic auric. These magenta, they're kind of a, well, with the name of sorrel, that's a soury, tangy taste to it. Scarlet runner beans to climb the turtle enclosure. I put an arch out of cattle panels over this. And this cattle panel arch is new this year too. I look pretty funny. I had 5 cattle panels in the back of my pickup, arched over, and it just stuck up pretty tall. It was pretty funny looking. But I don't care, they can laugh at me. Here's some Kentucky Wonder Beans and some stray cosmos. I have some zinnias, little baby zinnias in this pot. Or thumbelina or something like that. They stay small. Yarrow is doing great. I'll be moving a lot of that around the property. More hollyhocks. Some onions. Peas that did not do well in that spot at all. Actually, the hollyhocks aren't looking too great. They had some bugs on them. And red raspberries don't do well. I have one survivor. So this is it so far. There's my trailer over there. I do rent that out if anybody wants a trailer around the Arizona area. Northern Arizona. What you doing, girl? This is my dog, Lily. Hi, baby. She's got her electronic collar on, which has been great, so I can let her run around. I haven't had to shock her, so I just do the vibrate thing and she pays attention. Those yellow flowers came up by themselves and are spreading a bit. There's some spearmint, rosemary, a froggy, a dove. And And here's the start of my fence. I am staining it. It's a solid color stain, which is supposed to last 25 years on a fence, although being in Arizona, that probably won't happen. But there'll be sections inside those 8-foot sections with wire framed with 2x2s. And in the middle, there'll be a 16-foot wide gate, 2 8-foot section gates. My gazebo's up. There's tape on there, painter's tape. I painted the post next to it. I was thinking of white for the fence, and I ended up going with a color to match the sheds. It's kind of a light gray. It's a little bit lighter than the shed, but a pretty good match. Never said I knew what I was doing, so you might watch me do stuff and say, oh, that's cool, but I might not be doing it right. So, and I don't figure things out immediately. That's the creative part of me, I guess. So I figure it out as I go and get a little advice on the way if I need it. We'll be putting some steps by the back door here that will be timber, and there'll be packed gravel, and then some of these patio stones in it. So they'll come out. The first step will be 8.5 feet out from the door. And I'm getting some flowers blooming over here, some larkspur. There's a black-eyed Susan that's gonna bloom pretty soon. I have a couple of those around the property. Hopefully I'll get more. And this is my arch for grapes. And the grapes don't look like they're alive. They could still be dormant. I'll give them a little more time. But I do have some scarlet runner beans, and I have goji berries. It doesn't look like much now, but they'll really take off. The soil's better than it looks, I think. They're doing pretty well. I put some cow manure in here. But there's new growth. I started these babies from seeds. I'm working on my side yard here a bit and encouraging some wildflowers to bloom. I've planted some seeds. I don't see much of those yet, but a lot of times those will show up the next year. I feed the birds over there. These are the 6x6 timbers for those steps in the back. I'll be dragging those over there after this gate project. But there's a few nice things. A few flowers. I had poppies. I think those are a Shirley poppy. And they kind of showed up by surprise this year. I think I might have thrown some wildflower seeds around, but like more than a year ago. Okay, that's about it. It looks a lot different than last year. Making lots of progress. I am going to go now and get back to work on those gates. And I'll see you all soon. Take care.